The mistake that people make is that they have heard on the internet, digital marketing streets, that you just need to give value and people are going to want to come to you and buy from you because if you give everything and 99% everything, just give everything for free, then they're going to want to come to you. That is not true, you guys. Sorry, exposing the truth over here. But here's the thing. There is such thing as overteaching. When you overteach, you oversaturate your audience minds and they don't have room to make a decision because they're processing the content instead of trying to process their decision to want to buy from you. So you taught so much that now they're like, oh my God, I just need to apply it. Welcome to Exposed, the show that gives you the raw truth about what it really takes to build a multi-million-dollar coaching business and a life that you're obsessed with. I'm your host, Juliana Garcia, marketing strategist and master coach. And after building a multi-million-dollar business from scratch, each week, I want to take you behind the scenes with actionable business strategies and profound mindset shifts to help you create wealth from the inside and out, so that you can become the exception to the rule in the coaching industry. I'm exposing the uncomfortable truths, the failures, and the topics that most podcasts don't dare to talk about. So let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to this episode where I'm going to share with you all my failed launches, what I learned, and I'm going to give you 6 specific adjustments for you to create 6-figure launches and get over the launch PTSD. If you don't know what launch PTSD is, it's something that I created or I thought about a long time ago. And it's basically how people feel after they fail a launch. You have trauma, you had expectations that were not met, and then you feel like even thinking about launching feels traumatizing. You have like post-traumatic stress. So I want you to know that if you're a coach and you have had launches that have not gone well, this is the podcast for you. And if you are a coach who has never failed at a launch, clearly you haven't done it enough or you haven't launched something that really scares you, and you will one day, and then you will come back to this one. So the first thing that I want to offer is that we need to normalize failure. You go into launches thinking that it's just all going to work out. It doesn't mean it didn't work out. It meant that you were just getting prepared for the next launch. Every launch is preparing you for the next and the next. So if you let go of the pressure to get it right and always sell out, and you understand that every single one is compounding to the result that you want to create, then you let go of the pressure that this is a make or break launch. Nothing is a make or break in our businesses. Nothing can be a make or break because when we think this launch needs to make it or I need to sell out, otherwise XYZ, you put pressure on yourself, you put pressure on the launch, and that's why launching ends up feeling so hard. And here's what I want to offer. I have been launching for 5 years. And I just don't have thoughts about launching being difficult, hard, pressury. The relationship that I have with launching is delicious. I really love launching. I mean, what's there not to love? Here's how I think about my launches. A, it's a party. I get to have 3 parties every year with my people. For me, the conversion event, which is part of your launch. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, a conversion event can be a 5-day challenge, a webinar, a masterclass, an immersion, whatever it is that you are hosting to bring people together, to really offer value and to tell them about how you can help them. And it's a party that everyone gets to come to. I mean, I just love the idea of launching being a party. For me, before, launching just felt like this critical process that literally made me want to pull my hair out, and it felt so complicated and stressful. And since I shifted my mentality to, wait, let's just simplify it. What is really a launch? Is a party. It's a moment for us to connect. I'm hosting it. So I get to ask questions. I get to meet new people and I get to show them, hey, look, I know that I can help you with something. If you want, I can support you with this. And I choose to create experiences that I have fun with. So for example, in my launches and the last day of my 5-day challenges or my 3-day challenges, whatever, I like to do multi-day events because I love the spaciousness of not feeling like on a webinar or a masterclass, I have to nail every word, every minute. I just love hanging out with people. So of course, I'm not just hanging out. I have a very strategic approach to every single day in what I say and what I want to do and et cetera, et cetera. But if I just zoom out, what I want is to have fun. And so I bring my energy, like we're having a party. I'm excited for this. I'm not nervous. I'm not like, oh my God, this is make or break. None of that is true. I just don't choose to think that way about launching. And at the end of the event, I love bringing out a glass of champagne. And every single time, if you have been to any of my 5-day challenges or 3-day immersions, you know that we are going to drink some champagne. We're going to celebrate. If you don't drink, then that's fine. Bring your kombucha, bring your coffee, because some people, join when it's the morning in their world, like Australia or Europe, whatever. Bring your bedtime tea, whatever it is. but we get together and we just celebrate the final day. That's the vibe that I bring. So the first thing that I want to offer before we get started with the adjustments is that the relationship that you have with launching can always feel more delicious. And if right now it feels traumatic, I totally understand. I've gone through my traumatic launches as well. And you can come on the other side. The trauma doesn't have to define your future, just like with anything in life. So launching is really not hard. What makes launching hard is our thoughts about it. That's what makes it hard. Because when a launch doesn't turn out the way that we thought, and then we have all these trauma, that's when we feel like, oh, I'm not meant for this. Launches are difficult. And we start blaming, pointing fingers, self-criticizing, and making ourselves wrong. And that's just not the vibe. So you essentially push the process away, AKA the launching process away, when the process is not a problem. Is the way you think about the process and the way that you relate to the process that makes it feel hard. So if you think you're too good for it or not good enough for it or it never works for you, whatever that is, I want you to set that aside for a moment. And I want you to enter the world where there's a reality where you're always learning. And launches actually can be a really beautiful tool in your business, a money-making space for you where you can bring a lot of people together, be yourself, express yourself, and just really let people connect with you. Like I feel like my launches do so well because I really show myself who I am. They get to get my vibe, feeling to my humor, just like my authentic way of being. And I really bring all of it. I don't hold back. So if I cuss, they know I cuss. If I laugh, they know I laugh. I have humor. Like I just literally bring myself to my launches as I am. That way people can connect with me more than just my offer. They can connect with Juliana, the type of coach I am, my approach. And that is so valuable. So I love launching for that reason. I mean, you can always do live streams, you can have a podcast, you can create content, you can write things, you can do reels, but there's such a small sliver of you that comes through in those formats. Whereas when you are live, when you are in a room with people and you're there for like an hour, half an hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is for a few days, there's so much more room for connection and for spaciousness. That's what I think about launches. You notice how I love launches. Like launches work for me because I have really positive thoughts about it. My relationship to them is very positive, even though in the past I did not have one. So I want to tell you first, just so that you guys relate, because I did not end up here by a miracle. So one of my first ever launches, I was launching the Soulful Marketing Academy. That was one of my first programs. And I think it was a 6-week or a 12-week program. And I invested so much in ads and copywriters. And I was so afraid to show up being myself. And I was hiding behind funnels and ads because I just felt scared to show up and just be myself. I'm like, how does that work? I don't know what to say. So I follow scripts and sequences and all of that. And I run ads to this 3-day event called the Marketing Love Affair. And it was basically how I related marketing to relationships. And it was actually really cool. Like I love that little moment. And I remember working with a coach on this and they helped me script it and everything, but my belief just wasn't there. I was totally focused on the strategy versus the energy. And I was just, it was just like my first thing, you know? I mean, I invested probably like $10,000 all up and I made one sale. Actually, I made 2 sales. The program was $2,000. So I technically made $4,000, but one of them was a refund. She was not an ideal client. She was a teacher. And I was like, I actually just can't help you. And I refunded her money. And the other coach we're still friends actually. And I helped her and I coached her. And I remember feeling like, wow, I made my first $2,000 online. And this was 2016. I'm like, I made my first $2,000 being a coach online. Whoa. So that was so fun. And also I was like, wait, I just spent all this money and I just didn't get this result that I wanted. And it was just an interesting experience because one of the mistakes that I made was that I will tell you after when I give you 6 adjustments is I really quit halfway through the launch. I didn't even send all the emails. I didn't even send all the things I had prepared because I just didn't see the feedback coming back and people buying. And I was just like, oh, well, I guess they don't want this. And I have 2 people, so let's just close it up. Like I just gave up. I just thought nobody's listening. So I definitely felt like launches are just a pain in the ass and I just don't want to do it. And then I had a few more launches, actually maybe one more that didn't go so well. Can't remember exactly. Until I launched the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. And I came up with this framework called the Magnetic Launch Formula. And it truly is when I had done all the integration and all the trauma release. And I'm like, wait, I do want to launch. Like, I know that I want to have a group program and I want to launch it. And I want to have this being a part of the rhythm in my business. But I wanted to do it my own way. So I was in Hawaii with my ex-boyfriend and my friend from Australia. And I was terrified because he was like, again, it's like exposing yourself again to failure. And I was thinking, what would be really fun? So I came up with this party idea and I decided to let go of all the rules that I had picked up along the way from the internet marketing world, which was you have to have a 7-cart open period and you have to send 3 emails a day in 7 days and people have to make a decision in 7 days and it has to be this way. And that felt like so much pressure. I just did not want to do that. So I was like, okay, well, what would feel good for me? And that's a question that I want you guys to ask yourselves. Like, let's say that you have applied some kind of method and the method is not the problem and it's the way that you relate to it. That's really where the trauma comes from. And also, what is something that you could have done that would have been more fun? So for me, one of the things that I realized is like what creates a lot of pressure is just this 7-day or 10-day open cart period that all the internet marketers say that is the way to do it. I was like, it's not my vibe. So I decided to do a 4-week open cart period because at the time, the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind was $5,500. This is my first ever price. And now it's $11,000. It's so beautiful to see the growth. But that was that. It was $5,500 and I knew I wanted to book sales calls. So I wanted to do my 5-day event and then book sales calls to sell, I think it was 10 spots that I wanted. And I knew that I needed time for the sales calls. I wanted time for everything to land for people. And I just didn't want pressure to be part of the equation. So I decided to do 4 weeks of open cart. And I just made that decision. That's what felt good for me. I want you to give yourself the permission to do what feels good for you. I mean, I teach the magnetic launch formula and I still tell my clients, adjust it to what feels good for you. So I did that. And the result was I didn't give up until the last day, you guys. I showed up. I did the damn thing. I showed up until the very last day. And on the last day, literally Sunday night, this woman, her name is Alyssa, who became a client that day and now is one of my best friends. She joined because she had a dream the night before that I was her coach. So she literally woke up and she's like, I don't know why, but obviously I need to work with you. And what I ended up is that clients can come from anywhere. And it's not my job to figure out exactly how or when people are going to say yes. So she joined, she made her money back in like the first 2 weeks. I ended up getting 7 people, not 10. But I did get, I think like 3 private clients from doing that. And I ended up making $50,000. So that was my first successful launch, right? So I want you to know that there's hope. You don't have to give up on this. Let's fix up the relationship you have with these 6 parts of what it means to launch, because launching is really a game of energy and strategy. And that's the 2 areas that I focus on with my clients. So I'm going to give you in the energetics 3 upgrades. And then with the strategy, I'm going to give you 3 upgrades for a total of 6 upgrades. You know me, I love a list of specific upgrades. But before I do, since I mentioned this miracle that happened with Alyssa, something that's coming through that I want to offer right now is that the amount of times that clients have come in ways that I don't expect is absolutely insane. Like this one time, my client Barbara, she joined day 1 or day 3 of one of my 5-day challenges. She was not thinking about buying anything. She was not thinking about joining a program, nothing. But whatever it is I said, however it is I said it, the energy I was coming from, the way I articulated the problem, the way I articulated the solution, the way I articulated the whole thing, and the way I made the offer, the whole thing, whatever I said, I actually don't know, resonated with her. But that was not really what got her over the line. You know what got her over the line? You would not believe it. As I was speaking, she tells me that she had a candle on her desk and the candle had batteries. It's like a battery powered candle. She did not touch the candle, but the candle lit up on its own. And apparently the batteries were dead. But the candle came online as I was speaking and making the offer, I believe. And she took that as a sign to join. Did I have control over that? Absolutely not. Did I think, I'm going to turn on the candle and I'm going to send my angels and guides to turn on the candle? Actually, to be quite honest with you, I know my guides and my angels and my unseen team, the battalion of angels and guides that I know are in my corner, that I asked them to go do the work when I sleep soundly, did that. I don't tell them how to do it. They just go do it. I just dispatch them and say, bring them home. It's time for them to come home. Bring all the clients home. This is the right place. This is the right home for them. I know I'm ready. I'm energetically available to receive them, to support them. They'll be in great hands. The Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind is the best investment they could ever make. Bring them home. Tell them I'm ready. Let them feel ready. Talk to their angels, talk to their guides, do whatever you got to do. Bring them home. And then I just let them do their thing. And then I go and do my part because I cannot control how every single person is going to say yes. That would be putting too much pressure on my shoulders, on the launch, on my posts, on the content. And that's just not the vibe. Okay. So we're going to talk about this in the energetics upgrades. But for now, let's begin with the strategic upgrades. So the first upgrade that I want to offer is that what I see that most people fail to do is to warm up their audience with content that creates connection on more levels than just who you are as an expert. So what happens is people who don't have successful launches, what they do is they hide before their launch and they plan it and they think about it and they think about their program and they're not really showing up, warming up their audience. It's as simple as that. How do you warm up your audience? When I say warming up your audience, it's simply creating connection with who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, your humanness. So I teach in the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind how to create a magnetic brand and the 6 keys to create a magnetic brand, different elements. One of the elements is sharing your humanness. What makes you human? What are the things that people wouldn't know about you that have led you to become who you are today? What are the quirks? What are the things that, let's say that you go to Burning Man and you're a business coach. Like my friend Emily, she is a business coach and she always talks about how she goes to Burning Man. And that's part of her humanness, like the part that is maybe not something that most people would think about when they hire a business coach, but it's actually something that resonates with a lot of people that, let's say, have the same lifestyle. They like to go to Burning Man and who are vibe with that, who align with that. So the part of you that you think is not that important, the part of you that you overlook, the stories about your life and the things that have shaped you to become the human that you are today is what people buy. Those things are also important. You wouldn't believe how many times I ask my clients, why did you buy? What made you want to buy? And they're like, your energy, like who you are. What you shared this one time about your human design. One client literally hired me because I share a story about my human design. And I didn't do it with the intention of being like, by the way, I'm the perfect coach for you. I just was literally telling people about my human design. And she's like, oh my God, we're so aligned. Like, I'm going to hire you. I don't know the intricacies of human design at all. I don't know anything about it, to be quite honest with you. But what I do know is I'm a generator and there's some other things. And I had just had a reading. I shared it and she was like, you're my coach. So all those little things that you think are not important and is getting in the flow and the frequency of like what I have to share is important and who I am is interesting. If you think you're not interesting, I just coach a client on this. I want you to notice, why don't you think you're interesting? Why don't you think those things are actually interesting? I think everything in my life is interesting and I share everything I can. And I am not even literally sharing 100%. Like I share probably like 30 to 40% of my capacity. And I'm literally, as we speak, moving through expressing even more and being even more vulnerable or being even more bold and letting more layers of me come out because there's more. There's always more that I can share that allows me and my social media and my presence to be more of an expression of who I am so that people can vibe with it or be like, no, thank you. And I want that to happen. We want to create the no, thank you and the fuck yes, I need it now vibes. But you cannot do that if you're just always sharing the same, like 5 tips in order to blah, 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 6 tips in order to blah, blah, tips and all that stuff. It's just a chat GPT energy that like feels like a computer. It feels like you could just Google that. What are the things that you can share to warm up your audience that nobody could Google? What are the lessons that you have learned that shaped you into who you are? What are the quirks? What are the funny things? What are the things that are just your personality? And when I teach my clients this in the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, I have 9 types of content that I teach them. And one of them is a pillar that I call Expose Your Truth, the Expose Your Truth pillar. And one of the types in that pillar is really sharing your personal stories and the myths and the truths and busting myths that you don't agree with, sharing your values. And there's more to it, but I'll leave you with that because those are the things that create a different level of resonance with people. And then they're going to see you also as an expert. And they're going to be like, okay, what else you got? Right? So adjustment number 1, when it comes to strategy is, are you really warming up your audience? And are you letting it be easy? And are you letting yourself just show up doing the Expose Your Truth vibes? If you have never done the Expose Your Truth challenge, then I want to invite you to download it. JulianaGarcia.com/expose. It's free. Download it. It's really going to give you those types of content that are just going to allow you to just show up and just be consistent, being who you are, and also bringing value to your people. Okay. So once you have your audience warmed up, the next thing is you host a conversion event, which is the party I was talking about. Okay. Now, here's a mistake people make. When it comes to hosting anything, whether it is a webinar, a masterclass, a 5-day challenge, the thing that I see that people could do better is instead of overteaching and just giving everything, the whole farm and giving all the things up front, what you want to do is you want to create a gap so that people can get into your world, go to this conversion event, really see the value that you can offer. And also, you must create a desire for them to want to buy from you. Overteaching creates oversaturation in their brains with information that might feel like is sufficient in the moment for their brains. And they might feel almost like, okay, I need to take a moment to integrate this, apply it, and I'll buy later. Well, I'll come to you once I have implemented this. If you have people telling you, I want to apply this first and then come back later, that is a sign that you are overteaching. Or if you have people not saying anything in your DMs and just saying, thank you so much, that was amazing, bye. and they're not asking you questions about your program, you are overteaching. And this is actually something that I help my clients with inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind so deeply. Like one of my clients recently had a super successful launch. She was on maternity leave. She paused her business for a year and she came to me. She's like, okay, I want to do my first launch. She almost didn't do it because she was like, I'm so nervous. And I was like, you don't have to. Like, what would you choose? And we coached her and she decided to go forward with it. And she ended up getting private clients, getting an amazing group of people in her program. She reached her goal. And this is after being offline for a whole year. So what we did is I helped her understand, okay, what are the things that you want to be teaching on the whatever the conversion event was? So maybe if you're doing a webinar or like I said, a multi-day event, what is the point where you stop teaching? What is the point where you create the gap? So once you have a warm audience, the next strategic adjustment that I want to invite you to consider is when you host your conversion event. And that is when you host your party, your webinar, your masterclass, whatever it is. The mistake that people make is that they have heard on the internet, digital marketing streets, that you just need to give value and people are going to want to come to you and buy from you because if you give everything and 99% everything, just give everything for free, then they're going to want to come to you. That is not true, you guys. Sorry, exposing the truth over here. But here's the thing. There is such thing as overteaching. When you overteach, you oversaturate your audience minds and they don't have room to make a decision because they're processing the content instead of trying to process their decision to want to buy from you. So you taught so much that now they're like, oh my God, I just need to apply it. You know you're overteaching when somebody tells you, I need to go and apply this and then I'll come back to you whenever I get results. And I'm just saying, I've experienced this. So like, just know that this is part of finding your balance, okay? And I know that so many of you want to be so generous with your content because you have been to, webinars and 5-day challenges and things that are so salesy, meaning that they don't actually offer value. They're not shifting your perspective. They're not telling you something that you can really feel like is giving you a perspective shift. And so they're just basically keeping everything behind a paid wall. And actually, that's something that someone who joined the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind last week told me. She's like, you're so generous with what you offer. And I love that you don't hide everything behind a paid wall. You just give so much. And it's so true. I am so generous with my free content. I'm so generous with my podcast. I'm so generous with my live streams. I'm so generous with my 5-day challenges. I'm so generous with my content. So I let people really get so much value. And at the same time, I am not over teaching. So you're probably thinking, okay, Juliana, what is this whole thing about over teaching? And let me tell you, I wish I could solve this problem for you in just 30 seconds. But it's just not possible because you're different. I'll have to get into your content, your pitch, your whole 5-day experience, your webinar, your whatever it is. And that's just not possible for all of you who are listening. But here's what I do want to say about it. What is important for you is to understand that instead of teaching someone the how something works, how you would help them, or the nitty-gritty, what you want to do is create contrast in their minds. So what that means is giving a lot of examples. Here's how you do it right. Here's how you do it the wrong way. Like, here's how you're probably doing it right now in your marketing. And I give a lot of examples. And instead, here's how you should be doing it instead. Or here's how you could be doing it to create a better result. Should is not really a word that I like to have in my vocabulary. So reframe. Creating contrast in someone's mind, it really gives them a clear picture of, oh, here's where I'm at and here's what I want to be instead. Or, oh, I see the difference between what you're doing and what I'm doing. That's an easy way that I can teach you right now on how to not overteach. There's more to it, but if you're not getting conversions, start there. Are you getting in the nitty gritty of everything, your modalities and a bunch of different things? Or are you creating contrast between here's what I know you're doing, here's why it doesn't work, here's what you want to do instead, here's what this looks like. And if you want my support, we need to work together. That's creating a gap, right? So you want to create a gap between where they're at, where they want to be, because at the end of the day, the most integrous thing that you can do as a coach is really help someone inside of your container. If you try to give everything up front, imagine giving someone that doesn't know how to drive a Ferrari. You're giving the keys to this amazing machine that is like made with all these amazing finishes and technology and this and that. And you're giving it to somebody who doesn't know how to drive it. What are they going to do? They're going to get in the car and do what? They're going to crash. They're going to not take care of it. They don't even value it. They don't even know what to do with it. They don't know how to use it, right? And unintentionally, they're literally going to put themselves in a place where it's not helpful, maybe dangerous. If you try to give all these tools and then they walk away trying to do everything on their own, it's actually not safe for people to try to do it all on their own when they don't have the guidance. So it's irresponsible to try to come from this place of generosity, quote unquote, but really not coming from a place of, oh, the most responsible thing that I can do as a coach is actually help my clients inside of my container. Do you guys feel me on that? you're not being generous. You're actually doing the thing that is in the best interest of the client, which is showing them what they're doing that is not working, why it's not working, what they need to do instead, and why your solution actually supports them in that capacity. So that's something that I can offer in terms of overteaching. There's more to it. And in fact, with my clients, when they join Magnetize, what we do is we literally go through what they're going to teach every single day, their pitch, their offer, how they talk about it, the energetics behind it. And we get super clear on the words that they need to say, the energy to hold, how to pause, like all the cadence, because this is an important part of showing up and selling. Like we are here to hold a room, virtual room, and there are people paying attention. And it's important for us to be so clear about how we can help people. And really, it's our job to demonstrate that we know how to get them from A to Z. So, for example, my client in Magnetize that just wrapped up, she paused her business for a year because she had a baby and she has a 7-month-old right now. And she had such a successful launch, even though she had taken all this time off. And what we did in one of our calls is we went through every single part of her pitch and her entire live event. So I want you to take that with you. If you want to do a self audit, am I overteaching? Am I overgiving? Or am I undergiving? And I'm just selling. We want to have a middle ground where we want to give value so that people feel like, wow, this is actually someone who is willing to give really valuable content on the internet. And also, I want to go deeper. All right. And the third strategic adjustment that I want to offer that you can elevate is noticing how you are underselling. And when I say underselling, I don't mean the actual program, but I mean underselling the value of the dream result they are going to experience by working with you. So you're underselling either the dream result or the process. Let me explain. When we are launching, when we're selling anything, what we're doing is we're not selling a program. That's not what we're selling. We're selling the result of what we are helping people with, right? And so what I see is two camps of people who, if their launches don't go well or don't go as they expected, I notice that they're either too process oriented. So they just talk about the process and the program and the program and the program and the program, or they just talk about like, oh, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel amazing. And what you want to do is you want to sell the process and you want to sell the dream result at the same time, not one or the other. And this might sound like, well, of course I sell the process and the dream result, duh. But when you go and apply it, when you go and sell in your reels or in your live streams or in your 5-day events or your copy, whatever it is, I notice that people drop the ball. They drop the ball in one or the other. So they actually don't, and when I say underselling the process, I mean, they're not being clear about, here's how I can help you. This is the first thing that we're going to do. This is the second thing. This is the third thing. Like getting really precise in, here's what we'll do together, and getting precise in with the result that doing that will create. I want you guys to know that at the end of the day, what people buy is a transformation, is the result of the work with you. So if you get too deep in the nitty gritty of the how and the trauma modalities that you use, which is not something that people really care about at all, then you're going to lose them. And then they're going to feel like that's too complicated. It sounds like a lot of work. I don't know if I want to do that. Like I get that often with people who come to me and they have tried to sell like trauma healing or, they're certified on a bunch of different modalities. And what happens is they focus on selling the modality and selling that instead of selling like how you're going to help them step-by-step process. So let's say for me is the first thing that we'll do is I'm going to help you elevate the quality of clients you attract. Then I'm going to help you create a signature methodology that is going to make you unique in the entire marketplace. Notice that all those things are things that you want. I'm not teaching you the method that I use in order to help you come up with it. I am talking about the result. And in my content, in my launch, I always bring it back to what is the dream that you're going to experience? What is the dream life that you're going to have? You're going to have clients that you love working with. You're going to have clients that pay on time, that if they have objections, they're open to coaching. You're going to have clients that are going to feel XYZ. Like you're going to have a life that feels premium. You're going to have clients that don't feel heavy, that don't feel like problematic. And if you do have clients like that, I'm going to coach you to help you solve for that. I'm going to help you create an environment that breeds success in your containers. So notice how I am selling the result. And so some of you are underselling what the result is and what the life will look like. And you're too focused on like the nitty gritty of what you teach. So let's say nitty gritty for me would be to say, here's a copy formula that you need in order to attract clients, and then getting into the nitty gritty of the formula. Now I'm selling a formula, but that's not what people are going to decide to buy based on that. They're not going to be like, wow, that formula changed my life. Now let me go buy Magnetize and Monetize. That's not how it works, right? But what they're buying is a process that's going to help them to a dream result. And so a lot of you are underselling that and you're getting caught up in some other things. You're selling confusing things. I want you to notice, what is the process that I take my clients through? How can I name that process in a way that's results oriented, that feels like what they want? And what is the dream result of having that process in their corner? Okay. Like what is their life going to look like? And really focus on that vibe. Okay, so now that we're done with the strategic upgrades, let's start with the energetics and the mindset. You know, I'm all about both, right? So, the first energetic and mindset upgrade that I want to offer is that what I notice people do when it comes to their launches is that they quit energetically halfway, even before the launch ended. I did that in my first ever launch or my second ever launch. And I know that this happens because I see people do it. I have coach clients through it. Actually, one of my clients recently was saying the way she was talking about her launch was basically as if it was already done. And she was halfway through it. She was like, well, next time I'm going to do this. Next time I'm going to do that. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Is your launch over? I'm confused. She's like, no. I have like a week and a half left. I'm like, why are we talking about what you're going to do next time? This is not what your brain needs to be focusing on. You need to focus on now. And so, what is it that next time you think you'll do? And she's like, well, next time I want to focus on not just writing all the content and trying to get it out the door on time, because that was one of her things that she wanted to do. She wanted to really be prepared, but she was too prepared. And then she didn't put the heart in the content. And so, what she was missing is this thing that she articulated as I want to come from service and I want to just be of service. I'm like, okay, so why can't you be of service right now? And she's like, oh, okay, well, I just kind of thought that, this kind of went the way it went. I'm like, okay, notice how you're quitting halfway through. You're quitting ahead of time on your launch before it ended. You have a week and a half left. The amount of people that join my programs on the final day, and I get it, that a lot of people don't know what launches look like. This is why having a coach who has done it over and over and over again and has gone through big launches, small launches, big launches, failed launches, whatever, is so important because they help you acclimatize. Is that a word? They help you feel like what is happening in your launch is normal. They help you acclimatize to what's normal in a launch. And so this is what I teach my clients. And this is why it's so important to have a coach with you when you're launching and when you're doing really anything. But it's so important to have a coach because when you have somebody who has experience, they can normalize what you feel like it's kind of wild. So, or they can help you notice things that you are not seeing. And what I saw with this client is that she was already quitting halfway through. And I'm like, wait, there's a million things that can happen. And there's a million ways that you can bring the service back into your current launch. Actually, in fact, that's what we need. That's what the launch is calling for. If you're feeling like you're not getting the results that you want right now. So what would it look like? What would it feel like to come from service? What would you do? If that's the place you were coming from, what would be the actions that you would take? And what would be the thoughts that create the feeling of being of service, right? Like, I almost feel like being of service is almost a feeling, even though it's really an action, but it's a feeling, right? Like feeling like you want to serve. We came up with an amazing plan that actually impacted her launch right now. So the first one, I want to summarize it, is are you quitting energetically halfway through the launch? And are you allowing your brain to have thoughts about this launch that are not supportive of the result that you want? Are you letting validation, feedback, sales, applications, sales calls dictate how you feel about your launch? If you're doing that, no wonder you didn't get the result that you wanted. No wonder. And I'm not saying this to be smart and sassy. I'm saying it because I went through it. I gave up halfway through my launches many times over. And I realized, oh, this is a pattern that my brain likes to go into, which is I want the feedback, I want the validation in order for me to believe that the result will happen. And this is what I coached this client that I just told you about before, who paused her business, had a baby, and she was really excited to launch her first group program. She had never done it before. She followed the magnetic launch formula. I coached her through it. We worked on her pitch and everything. When she finished her 5-day challenge or her conversion event, she thought all the sales would just come up like right there and then. And she was disappointed in the beginning. She's like, oh no, this didn't go so well. Like, I'm not getting sales. And she had just finished her 5-day, her conversion event. And I'm like, what? You got 477 or something people in your conversion event after a year of being away from your business. You did such an amazing job at conveying everything so clearly. This is where the sales period starts. She's like, oh, wait, this is normal? I'm like, yes, it's normal. Like, I didn't get sales during my launch week or like my conversion event week until maybe like 5 launches later. And it's funny because my clients get applications and get sales. Like, let's say when they end their conversion event, like Friday, Thursday, whatever, or even day one. And I'm like, that's so good. Like, I'm so proud of you. And they're like, they just think that's just how it should be. I'm like, no, take some time for people to like sit with the content, digest it, talk to their wife, talk to their spirit guides, whatever it is. Like, takes a minute. Don't expect people to make a decision right away. I mean, I hold the vision that people are powerful decision makers. And at the same time, I'm like, it's okay. So I started getting sales mostly like the first week of my sales period. And I have 4 weeks of sales period. So like, I was not putting pressure on my launches, but it's just so funny how when we don't have a coach and we just don't know what we don't know, And so we put expectations on the launch or the process, and we're like, well, why isn't this working? When in reality, it's working perfectly. She ended up having the best launch of her life. And we would just coach through that expectation that she had, what she thought needed to happen, but actually was perfectly normal that it was not happening. Okay. So quitting energetically ahead of time and thinking, oh, well, this didn't go so well. That if you're experiencing that energetically quitting means that your belief needs to be reinforced. So you reinforce your belief by really focusing on, wait, I believe all my clients are coming, and really doing the work around all the thoughts that are getting in the way of you feeling certain about your result. I'm not going to go too deep into that because that's a whole other conversation, but I want you to notice, are you coaching yourself on the daily, believing that your result is done, is a done deal, is a done deal, and really holding yourself in the unknown and the uncertainty, because that's the game of launching. Launching is a game. It's a game of life. And all it is just, are you willing to feel all your feelings, and are you willing to get present to all the thoughts you have about why you think your result is not going to happen? And are you willing to feel what it would feel like to not have the result and still have your back, and know that every single launch is preparing you for the next and for the next and for the next? Okay. All right. The second energetic and mindset upgrade that I want to offer is that what I see that most people are not doing in their launches is they are not owning themselves as the authority, and they're waiting to be chosen. So you come to a launch with a vibe of, I hope you choose me. I am so good. Like, I'm the best coach for you. And imagine if you were dating or finding your person and you were like, please choose me. I'm really good. I'm an amazing partner. Like, really, I'm like so good. No one's going to want that. No one's going to want that. The vibe is, I am the prize. I am the prize. So if you think of yourself as the prize, if you think of your program as the prize, how would you sell it? How would you show up? How would you talk about it? You're not waiting here to be chosen by anyone. You're not waiting to be interviewed. When you have the idea, or when you have the thought of, I hope my clients choose me, I hope they buy from me, or you have the vibe of waiting to be chosen, people are going to start interviewing you in your sales calls. They'll be like, okay, so tell me, why is your program the best thing for me? Or tell me what's different about it. When you have those questions coming into your reality, it's because you have a part of you that is waiting to be chosen. And that is like, interview me, let me prove to you. That's not the vibe. So energetically, notice, do you feel like getting a client is a prize and getting paid is the prize? Or do you feel and believe that them paying you is a prize to them? Like, I feel that way about Magnetize and Monetize. I'm like, anyone who comes in this room, wow, they won the lottery, because I'm going to support them with so much love. I am so devoted to every single one of you. I am so in it with you. And also, I empower you so much, and I am not going to disempower you to believe that we need codependency here. Like, I believe so deeply in your ability to create what you want, that like, I just feel like it's the best decision for any coach to make. I feel so grounded in the value of Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind that I know is a price. I know it's a price. And it's like, are you willing to gift yourself the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind? Because it's a gift. It's a gift to your experience, a gift to your business, to your forever life. Really, the way that you come out transformed will be like, you will not recognize yourself. It will forever transform you. That's how I think about my program. I am not waiting to be chosen. I'm like, this is the vibe. You definitely want to be in here. Like, of course. And this doesn't come from arrogance. This comes from being so rooted in the value of what I offer, that I know that is going to be the greatest prize anyone would ever give themselves. So notice if you're coming from a place of waiting to be chosen, or thinking about yourself as the prize. And notice how you're thinking about your offer. Is it, it's not that good. I don't know if people are going to want it. It's not perfect. What? I don't care. My offer doesn't have to be perfect, because I know once they get in there, I'm going to coach them, and that's going to light up their lives. I know whenever is in the room, like, I'm literally offering thoughts that you can borrow. I know that whenever somebody gets to get coached by me, God's going to speak through me. I know that the right message is going to be delivered, and I don't have to control their results. I know they're going to get exactly what they came for. That's just what I hold as a belief in my containers, period. And that's why that happens. Everyone always walks away with exactly what they came for, what they needed. So notice, are you not owning yourself as the authority that you actually are? Are you waiting to be chosen? Are you coming from this energy of like, I hope they like me, I hope they buy from me? Or are you seeing yourself as the price? So I want to talk about the thoughts you have about your clients, because we save the best for last, baby. Oh God, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. People wonder why they have the clients that they have, or why they don't have the clients that they want. And it's always evident and revealed in the thoughts they have about their audience. So the question that I want to ask you is, what do you think about your audience ability to buy? Do you think they need handholding in order to make a decision? Be really honest with yourself. Do you think that they don't have the money? Do you think that maybe what you sell, it's not the priority for them? That they're not prioritizing what you offer? Let's just be honest here. I want you to really think about, what are your thoughts about your audience? Be really honest with you. You don't have to say this to anyone. This is just you and your brain, maybe a piece of paper in your journal, just being really honest. Because when we are honest about it, then we can stop living in the darkness around why we have the results that we have. If you don't have people coming to you and buying, then let's take responsibility for why that might be. And let's start by understanding what are the thoughts we have about them. So I used to think my audience needs me in order to make a decision. Like they need me on a sales call. And if you do sales calls, please keep them. I really want to encourage all of you. If you have not made at least $500,000 in your business, don't stop doing sales calls. And that's just my own thought and my own belief. You can discard it if you want to, but I love sales calls because it really helps me master my sales process. The only reason why I don't have sales calls right now and I can still have multi six-figure launches is because I learned how to sell on sales calls. I didn't just wake up and say, I feel so entitled to not have sales calls because my time is so precious that I'm just not going to do that. No, I let myself really get intimate with my people and on the phone and really understand, okay, what are the things that they struggle with? Let me understand that. From there, all of those years, I was able to distill a process that allowed me to remove sales calls from my business entirely, which is amazing. But I didn't do it from this entitled place. I did it from this place of recognizing that I actually was taking my clients' power away by thinking they need me in order to make a decision. In the beginning, that was true. I needed to support them in making that decision. But later in my business, I realized, wait, actually, I am taking their power away by thinking I don't believe that they're powerful decision makers and that they need me. So this might not relate to where you're at in your business right now. The part of my clients need me in order to make a decision, because you might actually need to support them in the decision-making process. Maybe that's part of your growth right now, really opening yourself up to the conversation of making a decision and really what it looks like to support someone through a decision-making process that will help them expand into a new version of them and through your program. That is a conversation that every single coach should be available for. And I will say should, because even though I don't like the word, it's so important that we don't get into this entitled mindset of like, I want all the money, but I'm not willing to connect with my people. I'm not willing to learn how to sell. I'm not willing to learn how to do XYZ. I just want the result and it should just happen automatically. Listen, I'm all about high expectations and having like really blowing your mind with what's possible. But there's something really important about really understanding your audience and getting connected with them. And sales calls are such an amazing way to do that. So back to the question of what are your thoughts of your ideal clients? After my little soapbox on sales calls, I want you to notice what are the thoughts you have about your clients and specifically about the money part. Do you feel like they don't have the money? Do you feel like they won't be able to create the results? Do you feel like they need a lot of hand holding? Do you feel like your clients can be heavy? Do you feel like they are dramatic? What are your thoughts about them? I don't know. You come up with the thoughts. But if you're not attracting enough clients, energetically, what happens is we have thoughts about our people that are not empowered. So we automatically disempower them ahead of time. If you think my clients need hand holding, they can't afford it, and they're not prioritizing what I have to offer, you bet you are going to get people who are heavy to coach, who may not invest when you want, and who are just difficult to work with. But it's not because they are the problem. It's because our thoughts about them are the problem. Our thoughts about them are reflecting back our own beliefs about our clients. The clients are not the problem. Like, I know you don't want me to say this, but the clients are not the problem. Sometimes, of course, they have their own thoughts. Of course, they have their own stuff. And that's a different conversation. But if people are not buying from you and you notice that you have really conflicting thoughts about them, then let's address that first. Because your audience is not the problem. It's not that they don't have the money. It's not that they're not decisive. They're not decision. It's just that you think they don't have the money. You're not willing to sell powerfully. You're not willing to stand by your offer in a powerful way. You're not willing to have a conversation about, how difficult this decision might be for them. You're feeling entitled to not have to address any of this because you think that people should just want what you have to offer, period. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to be a little bit savage here and just tell you the truth. And the reality is that whatever thoughts you have about your clients are going to show up in the clients that you currently have. So let's shift that. What do you want to be true about your clients? What do you want to be true about your audience? What do you want to be true about them when they come across you, when they buy from you, and when they get coached by you? I want you to get really clear on that. Because if right now you have conflicting thoughts, you want them to buy in a really easeful way, and you want them to just show up and pay and just pay in full. But you're like, I just don't think that they value this. I don't think that they have the money. Those are two conflicting thoughts. You're not going to create the result. So you have to choose. I'm willing to let go of all these beliefs that I have about people. And I'm going to find evidence that there are people who want to buy what I have to offer, period. And I'm going to find evidence in the past clients that I've had that have been amazing. And if I have not had any clients that are amazing, then I'm going to find evidence in me as a client. Am I the type of client that shows up this way? Am I the type of client that shows up being really committed, I pay how I want my clients to pay me, and I show up in containers the way that I want my clients to show up. Am I in integrity with the type of client that I want to attract? You get to be a premium client first. Are you a premium client? Or are you wanting to have premium clients, but you're not showing up in your own life as a premium client? Clean that up first. After you have done all of that, then we can blame it on the audience. Then we can blame it on them not having the money. But I guarantee that once you clean all of this up, you're going to have a different experience of your clients. You have to really look at the way that you think about them and the way that you hold them. Like, I hold my clients in such a beautiful energy. Like, I just think the best of my clients. I think they're powerful. I think they're great decision makers. I think that they don't need a lot of hand holding. I think that they're here because they want the 1-degree shifts. I know that there's a lot that they have gone through, but I know that they're always available to receive my coaching, and they want to take it and know that it's sufficient, and they're not going to need me to handhold them because they don't want to be handheld. They want to be sovereign. They don't want codependency. They want to be self-sufficient. I know that's what my clients want. They don't want to feel like their autonomy dissipates when they hire me. They want to feel like their autonomy, it gets fortified when they hire me. So of course that they come to me and they don't need me to handhold them. They don't want that. Ew, no thanks. They want really amazing support, but they don't want to be handheld. Hell no. I mean, I just know that that's not what my clients want. I just know because I work with them at this point, right? If you don't have that evidence, I want you to copy paste it from me, borrow it. Borrow my belief in your audience. Notice, like, I just decided to rearrange my thoughts. I had the same thoughts that you have about your audience. Disempowered, not the vibe. But you know what I did? I rearranged it. I decided something else needed to be true because I wanted that to be true. And then from that place, I started speaking to them in that way. And that's what my message became. My message is, hey, I know that you don't want to be handheld. I know that you want to be sovereign. I know that you want to create a strategy and a business that's a unique representation of you. You don't want codependency. Literally, this is my message. These are the words. Why? Because this is my mindset. This is how I hold my clients in my own mind. So the way that you think about your clients literally directs the content that you write. And so if you're having those thoughts that are disempowered, if you're holding your client in a disempowered lens, you're probably speaking to them in a disempowered way. And that's why you're attracting that version of them. We don't need to change your audience. We just need to change the way you think about them so that you can change the way that you talk to them. Whoa, this podcast was so good. I'm feeling so good about it. And I want to recap the 6 upgrades because we covered a lot. So strategically, warm up your audience. Number 2, host your conversion event and don't overteach. Create a gap. Number 3, you're underselling the process and the dream result. And I want you to oversell that. Oversell the process. Be clear how you're going to get people from A to Z and be so clear in communicating the dream life that they're going to experience afterwards. And from an energetic perspective, number 1, quitting halfway through your launch. Number 2, start owning yourself as an authority instead of waiting to be chosen. See yourself as the prize. How would you sell if you saw yourself as a prize? How would you talk about your offer if you saw it as the price for your clients? And lastly, what are the thoughts you have about your clients and how can you elevate them? Because the problem is not your audience. The problem is the thoughts you have about them. That is what's bringing forth that version of them. So clean that up before you start thinking about changing your niche and changing your audience. I promise your results will be different when you do that. I love you all. I'll talk to you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look, I'm going to be honest. I never like leaving reviews or sharing episodes unless it's something that really moved me. So if this show resonated with you today, please leave a review. It would mean the world to me. And send it to somebody who really wants to know the raw, exposed truth about what it really takes to create $1 million business and a delicious life. And as a thank you, I'm gifting you a free mini course about the 3 mistakes that coaches make that repel premium clients and how to fix it so that you can start attracting clients now. Check out the show notes to access it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.